Remember to shut my bathroom door this time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Deep Thoughts, Thin Coats with me, Phil, the Glacial Geek. Today, there's actually not going to be so much a thin coats of paint. It was storming out yesterday, so I wasn't able to prime. But I think the project that I'm working on is going to be exciting. We can talk about it, but I'll be doing thin coats of plastic glue. So, hey, it is what it is, right? So things have not much changed. I don't think they've much changed for a lot of people. So the fact is, I can't film battle reports right now because of everything that's going on, and I'm not sure looking to the future when that would be going to be kicking back in again. So I've been trying to think of some ideas of what to do otherwise, and what I came up with, thanks to the recommendation again of my Patreon Seth, I have picked up Blackstone Fortress. So it came in the mail, so I'll hopefully be working on that. So I've been building the models, and the models are fantastic. I mean, take a look at that. Like, just fantastic stuff here. Focus. Come on. Focus. All right. Like, this just fantastic models. And they were actually pretty easy to put together when you build them. I know that they're monopose, which I guess makes it easier because they're designed to click into place so that you don't actually need glue. If you just buy this and you're not a hobby nerd like I am, and you have your own glue that you can just build it with, they're designed that you can just clip them out of the sprue and press them together and you're good to go. So that makes it building it with actual glue all the easier, since everything just clicks into place. The one thing I have noticed is that because of the way it clicks into place, they have a lot of slots that the pegs go into, and when you have the glue on it and you press it in, it makes like a thwoop sound when you kind of press it together. But otherwise, it's been pretty cool, and I'm really loving the model, so I'm pretty excited to get to painting them and then learning how to play the game and playing the game. So hopefully getting some content with that. I think it's going to be exciting to do so. But along these lines, it kind of gets us to the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is the importance of having a hobby goal. And I think this is something that's kind of hit me, and this is why I kind of started making myself projects, and I came to the realization as to why I needed to do that, is that usually when everything's out and normal, I have goals that end up being set because of timelines that I have to hit. So for instance, I have, if I have a tournament coming up, I have a goal that I have to hit with those, and it makes it so that I have to accomplish something in a given time set, because otherwise I won't have my models painted or built for the tournament. But now that there's no tournaments, I've been having less and less deadlines placed on my work, and keeping up my motivation to hobby to paint has been something I struggle about, and I've talked about it in previous deep thoughts that I've been doing, and I think part of it is trying something new to keep yourself excited about it. But another thing is giving yourself goals that you want to hit. So giving yourself basically giving yourself projects that you have to hit in order to work with it. And these aren't designed to make yourself into guilting you into doing it. Like I said previously, there's enough stress and enough real world issues going on that you don't need to give yourself added difficulty and added stress and added pressure for anything. But setting goals, I think, really motivates us to continue to produce and to continue to work on the things that we want to work on. So for instance, now that we don't have tournaments that we have to get a job painted for, just set yourself a goal of getting a squad painted by the end of the week, or getting a certain detachment finish painted by the end of the month. Whatever it is, start setting yourself small attainable goals. Don't stress yourself, because like I said, there's no actual deadline to making any of this happen, since it doesn't, it's not looking like there's going to be any tournaments in the near future. So set yourself small attainable goals that will allow you to progress with the hobby and keep you motivated to keep producing. And I realized that when I gave myself when I bought the Blackstone Fortress set, that I was actually excited about being able to paint them, because I suddenly had a reason to paint them, and the reason was to put together and make content on the game. And realizing that having that goal and having that reason to paint it made it easier for me to motivate myself to do it. So these models got built like pretty quick. I've had things sitting on my shelf for months, if not years, and these guys came in and I got them built and painted real quick. Or built. I haven't painted them yet. I got them built real quick, and I'm hopefully going to be painting them up real quick because I want to make content with them. And I think having that goal that I set myself to do made it a lot easier to push through and make it happen. So instead of being like, well, what's the point of doing it, and then going off and just scrolling through Facebook endlessly, I realized that having the time on my hands that I had now, it was almost overwhelming how much time, because I would say, well, there's plenty of time for me to work on this later. I don't need to do it right now. And right now ends up being the only time that you ever have, because when you push it off, you'll push it off again the next time that you come around to doing it. But having those goals, having those reasons for doing it really motivated me, and I'm sure it would motivate others to get it done. So set those goals for yourself. And there's other ways to motivate yourself to do it and set these goals and hold yourself accountable to these goals. For instance, the Army Painter put together the Army Painter Brigade on Facebook, and it's just a group where everyone kind of shares the progress that they're doing, and it's designed to be supportive of what you're working on. So you can ask questions, but it's mostly just like a hobby goals kind of Facebook group. And I know there's plenty of them out there. I know there's the 1 hour a night group that they have on Facebook. There's plenty of different places that you can go and find that kind of that group motivation to keep producing and keep painting and keep building and keep making. Finding new projects to work on for that might be a great answer to the questions that you might have. So if you find yourself just completely unmotivated to work on something, maybe check out those groups and see what other people are doing, what other people are working on, and go, oh, well, that looks really cool. That looks really fun. That looks really interesting. And trying it out. You might find a new game system that you have plenty of time to read the rules over. You might find a new color scheme for an army that you've wanted to paint. You might find a new way of modding the models to make them look cool. And you might it's ways to spur the imagination and then instill a sense of accountability to the work that you do. Because there's no actual deadline to do any of our hobby work, because we don't have tournaments coming up. We don't have a game night coming up that we want to have them painted by. We're basically, stuck at our homes with our hobby work. And because of that, you need to find ways to motivate yourself. And I know that and it becomes hard if you don't actually have something to motivate you. So finding those things, setting those goals for yourself personally, and then finding ways to make yourself semi-accountable. Don't push it. Don't kill yourself over it again, because there's enough stress out there right now. You don't need added stress from the hobby. But finding that a little bit of accountability, so that you sit there and you're like, oh, I don't feel like painting this now. And then you're like, well, I did say in the group that I was going to get these guys painted by the end of the week. All right, I'll paint it. And it just provides that extra little push. But if you're having a real bad day, not so much push that you feel like you're sitting there with literal tears streaming down your eyes as you're painting these models, because it's not worth it. It really is not worth it. But having those goals really makes it it adds, there's a reason that you put deadlines on things. There's a reason that you put, restraints on things, and the reason that they work. You talk about cram sessions back when you were studying is because you had to study, you had to get all this studying done by the time the test came up, and you only had a certain amount of time before that would come. And if you were left with, and if you ran out of time, you ran out of study time. So there's a reason that you have these cram sessions. Most people don't stay up all night studying unless they have a deadline to reach, unless they have a goal to reach. And a lot of people flourish under deadlines. That's when they get a lot of work done. That's where they feel a lot more productive because they can't procrastinate. They can't push it off. And if you find ways to do that with the hobby without killing yourself over it, then that's what's going to keep you motivated throughout this time. Because we are presented with a unique situation now where we have a lot of time on our hands. So even if you are still working, even if you are essential worker, or if your work just hasn't stopped, or you're just work from home generally, you are still left with any of your free time that you had previously that was being taken up with gaming, going to tournaments, doing whatever. It's now open. I mean, it's now available to you to hobby. It's now available because you have to. You know, you're stuck at home. The game stores are closed to the gaming. Tournaments are canceled into the future. So we don't have those kind of same things pulling on you. You know, sports events are canceled, so you're not going out to those. You're not doing anything else that you might have that pulls you away from being home. You know, and I know if you have kids and stuff now, they're going to be home more. But I mean, I think kids are always going to be a pull on your time, whether or not there's a reason to be home. But I think that you now are going to have a lot more time at home on your hands. So take advantage of it and try to come out of this with something that you're proud of, that you felt productive about. Because a lot of times being stuck at home, especially if you're not an essential worker or able to work from home, leaves you feeling adrift. Leaves you feeling a little bit lost, a little bit like what am I supposed to be doing? Like you're spinning your wheels because you can't go and do all of the work that you wanted to, all of the stuff that you wanted to get out and go get. So in those times, you need to find ways to find the wins here at home, you know? So doing this, setting yourself a goal for these that you can accomplish, does provide a feeling of accomplishment. And I know it may seem like, well, that's just a hollow accomplishment, because what's the point of it? The point of it is to find accomplishment, you know? And like I've said before, I think right now, a lot of us need to be concerned with ourselves. You know, there's a lot that we're being asked to give up. There's a lot that we're being asked to do. And I know it sounds silly, we're asked a lot to do by just staying home. It's easy to do, but that doesn't mean that you're not sacrificing to do so. And understanding that and accepting that allows you to then move forward and go, yes, this is awful. It sucks and I don't want to be doing this. But now that I am here, I need to find ways to make this work, and I need to find ways that I can feel at least somewhat accomplished, that I didn't just, flit it all away. And making those goals, those hobby goals, and finding ways to make yourself accountable to them is super important to achieving that. So, go to your hobby area, put on a battle report from mine in the past if you haven't watched them. Put on this, Deep Thoughts, Thin Coats. Put on a podcast like Mob Rules, and just take the time to then just build a model. Because at the end of that, you now have a model built that you didn't have previously. Take the time to paint the base coat on a squad of miniatures. Boom, you've got it. Now you've got a squad of miniatures that previously were gray plastic, or previously were just primer. And now you've got a base coat. Now you've got something that you've achieved, something that you've accomplished, that is seemingly, in the grand scheme of things, not hugely important because you don't have a deadline for it. But it is something, and it's something that's legitimate, because it's something that you've accomplished in a realm that's important to you. So someone who doesn't do miniature wargaming, building and painting models, to them is the same thing as just sitting around scrolling through Facebook, because it's not important to them. It's still to them nothing. But to you, it is something, and that's important. And finding those wins is how you keep yourself going forward, not going crazy through all of this. And I think that the hobby goals are the best way to keep yourself motivated to do so. So, I'm not saying that you have to go through your entire backlog and just plan out everything that you're going to do. But what I might suggest is at the beginning of the week, you go to your closet or your shelf, you look at what you have and pick a box, pick a squad, pick a model, pick a character, take it, put it on your desk, put it in your hobby area, and go, this is going to be built by the end of the week. And then by the end of the next week, I want to have it mostly done painted. And then once it's done painted, you put it on your shelf to display, and you go find the next box and put it down there. And what this does is it creates a bit of a routine that we've completely lost in all of this situation. It allows you to create some forms of accomplishment that have been disrupted in this whole situation. It allows you to find productivity that has been lost in this whole situation. And it'll help you garner a sense of self. It'll help you garner some self-care to allow you to keep going and keep doing what you need to do to make this all work. Because even once everything starts to open up again, once the restrictions are lifted, I don't think we're going to go back to the same world that we had previously. You know, you're going to see people with masks on. We're going to see people. You're not going to be able to just, you be as close. You're not going to be as packed in with each other. I think events are going to be smaller for a long time until we can get things under control to the point that you're not going to be starting new situations every other month. And in order for that to happen, I think you have to realize that the old normal is no longer going to be the new normal. And with that realization, look for the things that you can hold on to find some sense of normalcy within all of this. So, no matter what changes, you're still going to be able to build and paint models. You're still going to be able to hobby. You're still going to be able to sculpt. You're still going to be able to kit bash. You're still going to be able to create things that you're proud of. And there will be forms of gaming that'll happen in the future that it may be different, but they will be there. And coming to the realization that it's up to us right now to find what our new normal is and make that and find the things that we're not just begrudgingly okay with, but that we're legitimately happy with during all of this becomes important. And I think that this process of finding a system of hobby goals and accountability through hobby will allow you to find a sense of normalcy that otherwise you probably are losing right now with everything that's going on. I know I am. I know I've found myself, I have good days and I have bad days. So as much as I said, I felt the motivation to paint these guys because I want to put out content for it. I also had many days when models sat on my desk unbuilt, unpainted. I had kits that were ready to go and I just I wasn't touching because it's tough. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and it's completely understandable to find yourself lost and upset and unmotivated. And I think you need to be gentle with yourself and understand that is just a natural reaction to everything that's going on. And when you find yourself in that situation, that you don't beat yourself up over it, because that accomplishes nothing. Beating yourself up over it doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't help you. It doesn't motivate you. All it does is make you feel bad. And I think that at the end of the day, the less we're doing to make ourselves feel bad, I think the world's doing a good enough job of it as it is. You don't need to help it. And I think that we can find ourselves in a situation where, we completely just demotivate ourselves from doing anything. And that's not helpful to us mentally. So using this hobby to set goals, to set kind of accountability for the work that we're doing, to find those moments of accomplishment, those moments of productivity are going to help you not just come out of this with a painted army. It'll help you come out of this with your sanity. And I think that the hobby goals will help in that process a lot. If I'm being honest, I think it'll help a lot in that process. And what you need to do is make sure that you get yourself to a place where after this is all over, you're still able to continue on doing you and doing what you value most. So, I know there's a lot of other hobbies right now that are on hold. A lot of sports are just not happening right now. You can't go out and hit the clubs. You can't go out and hit the bars. All of this it'll come back. You'll be able to do it in one form or another. But right now, because we don't have that, we have the opportunity as hobbyists, as gamers, to help ourselves and make sure that we feel at least some kind of sense of motivation, some kind of sense of accomplishment, some kind of sense of normalcy in the craziness that everything is. So if at the end of this you come out with just one squad built and painted, you've come out of this with something. If you come out of this with one model built and painted, you've come out with something. If you come out with an entire new army built and painted, then bully to you. That's fantastic. That's incredible. And it's a real accomplishment. It's a real goal that can be set, should be set, and that yet you can feel a sense of accomplishment that you can feel good about. Because I think you should, because the fact that everything's kind of seeming like it's, going down there in a handbasket, finding those wins are how you get through it, and they're legitimate wins. So yeah, this may not, you may not be finding a cure to the disease, but you are going to be finding a way to keep your sanity so that when it's all over, you can go back to being a productive member of society and continue on. And who knows, you might end up setting a pattern of work with the hobby that you become more productive after all of this is over too, because you end up getting into a rhythm, getting into a way of it all that'll leave you feeling productive and happy about it, and you like it. So I know you may say like, oh, I'm much more of a gamer. I just want to play the game. I don't care about how they look, and that's fine, completely fine, and a completely appropriate and good way to enjoy the hobby. But now that you can't do that aspect of it, there's still a reason that you were attracted to the hobby. So maybe what you do is you go and you try painting, and if it still at the end of the day is not what you want, you end up with one squad that's painted to a higher standard than you're used to, and that's it, and that's fine. And you came to a realization, and maybe the productivity that the accomplishment that you achieve is assuring yourself that this was not something that you wanted to be doing. And that's completely okay, and that's completely fine. And I think at the end of the day, however you make it through this is the best way to make it through this. I think as long as you come out on the other end with your sanity intact and your health intact, you've done it right. And there's no number of models, no number of squads that need to be built or painted to feel accomplished. I think any number that you build or paint is good enough, and is going to be a beneficial product out of all of this. So I highly recommend setting those goals, and if those goals end up becoming unattainable, changing those goals, because there's no reason not to change the goals. But having a goal, having a bit of accountability will keep you motivated to keep producing and keep doing, because at the end of the day, it'll feel good to build it, because that always happens. It's like, you sit there and that box sits unopened on your desk for ages, and you're like, ugh, I just don't want to do this. But then once you start doing it, you get them built, and you're like, cool, I've got all these models built. And then you're like, ugh, I don't so want to paint them. That's so much work. Look at all those models. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt. And you go, yeah, but once you, and they may sit there unpainted, unprimed, or primed, and just sit there for a long time too, until you take that first step. And then once you take that step, you get it done. It just keeps flowing, and it just starts working and working. And then all of a sudden at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I got them all built and painted. That's great. That's perfect. That's what I wanted to happen. And then you have it. And then you can move on to the next thing of sitting there looking at an unopened box for weeks at a time, because you just don't want to do it. But finding that, but if you start setting those hobby goals, if you start setting those finding those ways of accountability through Facebook groups, through even just with your friends, telling your friends, hey, I just opened up this box, I'm gonna have them built by the end of the week, and your friends go, hey, great, that's awesome. Your friends are not gonna like disown you if you don't build or paint them by the end. If you don't build them by the end of the week. But just knowing that your friends know that you're trying to build them by the end of the week sets a bit of accountability, and it'll keep you motivated to get them built by the end of the week. And then once you build them, you go, hey, they're built. This is cool. I'm now going to paint them. Hopefully I'll get them done by the end of the week. And they're like, cool, that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing them, and then you show them painted. They're like, that's great. If you don't show them painted, they don't care. You know what I mean? But mentally we have that little bit of accountability by making people realize what it is that we're working on, so that we think that they're worried about whether or not we're going to hit our week deadline of building or painting, And and if they do, then that's great. If they don't care, that's fine. And if we do make it, we're still we're still friends. And if we don't make that deadline, we're still friends. It doesn't have any impact on what's happening because it's not like we're holding up a game that they wanted to play with us because of it. It's not like we're not able to go to a tournament because we didn't get it done. It's just these forms of mental accountability to make it happen. Will keep you motivated and keep you productive. And then at the end of the day, when you have those painted models, you're going to feel better than if you just endlessly scroll through Facebook looking at memes and news articles. I think that having that at the end of the day, having that tangible created product is going to be beneficial to us mentally throughout all of this, let alone just physically having the models themselves to be able to build, to be able to play with once this thing is all said and done. So I think it's important, and I think it's something that helps motivate me, and I hope it is something that maybe helps motivate you, because I've been struggling with it. Honestly, I've been struggling with it throughout all this. I think that, having that, I played a lot. I played probably more than most people because I was putting out battle reports every week. I was putting out, on average, I had to meet a full game of 40K a week and a kill team every week. That was to just maintain the process that I was going through. I had to do it. So I was playing a lot of games. I was going to the game store. I was meeting up with friends. I was having people come over. I was doing a lot of gaming. And that gaming also helped me motivate to build and paint models because I needed to keep up the variety of models that I had on the table. I had to create new factions that I could bring to the kill team. I had to create new lists. There's a lot of things that kept me motivated in the hobby through that process. And then all of a sudden to have that taken away so quickly and unexpectedly left me feeling a little bit wanting. It left me feeling adrift, like I talked about. It left me feeling at a loss of what I could do, because I was sitting back and I was going, if I can't make battle reports, what am I doing? What am I going to do for the channel? And that's why I started doing this. That's why I did the top 5 that'll hopefully do some more of those. And I found ways to be productive for the channel, but it didn't leave me feeling motivated to work on the hobby, because I was like, well, what's the point of doing it if I'm not going to be making battle reports, if I'm not going to be doing this? And I had to come to the realization that I had to make the motivation. I had to find ways to keep myself going. So I was like, I want to have a new kill team ready to go by the end of this. So that's when I did the Mechanicus, and I was like, you know what? And I was showing it to my wife, and she was like, oh, do you have sisters? That would be kind of cool. So I was like, you know what? I don't. I'm going to do it, though, because I could buy a box and I could make a kill team, And so I did that. And then I bought some other ones I brought some Arcoflagellants, and I bought some Repentia too, because I was like, you know what? May as well make like a whole kill team that I can actually cycle through and make some variety with a list. So that's what I got those. And then I had my that suggestion about the Blackstone Fortress, and I was excited about that, because that was one of the things that I realized is that when I was playing by myself, I did that one kill team video where I basically played. My wife played with me, but she said she was not interested in the game, which is understandable. Not everyone is, but she wanted to help me out. So she's like, "Why don't I roll the dice so it doesn't look as sad like you're playing by yourself?" So very, very generous of her. And it was fun. It was fine, but at the end of it, I felt like mentally exhausted from having to try to think for both sides, and I also didn't quite feel as fulfilled for the gaming as I did, because trying to outsmart yourself is, near impossible. You can't set ambushes. You can't outflank yourself, because all of this is the second you move that model, you know where it is, you know what's going on, and you start counter moving and you counter move, and it's hard. It's mentally hard, and it's not as fulfilling, because it's like, great, I won, but I also lost. And I realized I didn't want to do that. I didn't like it. It just made me feel like I was missing out on a lot of the things that I was used to doing, a lot of the things that I enjoyed doing. So finding ways to change it up so that I was not feeling like I was missing out on those things was important. So Blackstone Fortress, I've never played it before. And it specifically has a system in place to play by yourself. So it seemed like the best part of both worlds there, where I could just play a game by myself, and the expectation was that I could play the game by myself. The one player module, the way they have it in here, is literally designed to be played by yourself, and it's not some kind of thing that you just kind of like play a multiplayer game by yourself and try to like pretend that you don't know that you're outflanking, or pretend that you don't know that these guys are coming in over here. Pretend that you don't know that you're going to be casting these powers, or what's coming up next, or what you're planning next. All those things that are just literally impossible to do, and it creates a situation where you're left with just basically a reminder of what you're missing, as opposed to actual enjoyment to fill the gap. So finding those ways to change things up to things that you can actually fully enjoy, that you can be excited about, engaged with, while also keeping yourself motivated and motivated to produce the model, produce the painting, produce the content, as it will for me. Finding ways to keep yourself motivated to keep doing those is important in this time when motivation is at a pretty low lull for literally everyone, because I guess not literally everyone. There are people out there that this has kicked into high gear, exactly what they've been working on and what they do. But for most of us, it's at a severe lull because of just the reality of the situation, and the reality that we can't do a lot of what we wanted to do, and that fact leaves us wanting, leaves us feeling like we're missing out. And if we can somehow keep ourselves motivated to keep going through that, then we're at the end of the day, we're going to be happier and better for it. So find those things that don't leave you feeling wanting. Find those things that you're legitimately excited about, and then beyond that, find ways to then do that and accomplish that with goals and motivations through Facebook groups, through friends, through whatever it is. You can post it in the comments below about what you want to be working on, and then the next time a video comes out, tell me if you accomplished it or not. I promise you that I'm not going to force you to unsubscribe if you don't accomplish it, but I'll give you a like if you get it done. I read all the comments down below, so keep them coming, and keep that kind of motivation rolling, and then help each other. If you have questions, ask them, and if people have questions that you think are stupid, get off your high horse and either scroll past it or give them a helping hand, because at this time right now, getting mad at each other for asking questions is the last thing that we need to be doing. I think we need to be there for each other, we need to be there for ourselves, and we need to be there so that when this is all over, we can go back to our normal-ish routine and find a new way of progressing forward in the brave new world that we'll be facing after this. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I know I certainly have. Getting out kind of these things that have been both weighing on me and that I've been trying to process, I think helps a lot in my process of trying to figure this all out. So, but until next time, have fun.